After multiple delays, Salem's Lot skips theaters and comes directly to Max instead and seems confused upon arrival regarding what it wants to be and who it is for. I'm Peter Franson from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. The IMDb synopsis for Salem's Lot reads, author Ben Mears returns to his childhood home of Jerusalem's Lot in search of inspiration for his next book, only to discover his hometown is being preyed upon by a bloodthirsty vampire. I like vampires. I like a number of vampire movies. This is not one of them, and I really dislike doing negative reviews, so let's try and just rip this Band-Aid off as quick as we can, shall we? As far as the general vibe, the story, the pacing, I think it's paced like a mystery, as like a sequence of strange happenings slowly convince protagonists that vampires are real and that they are in the town and overtaking the town. I did not find this movie scary at all. It got one little twitch out of me, but that was just because of a cheap jump scare. From the start, I mean, like the very first time after the opening credits that someone opened their mouth and started talking, the dialogue felt a little off, felt a little expositional. The character choices throughout the movie reacting to discoveries that the supernatural is real, that this folklore of vampires is real, they're just reacting too little to it. They're taking it too much in stride. Not literally like it's not a big deal, but like I would expect. It just lacks psychological realism, even faux psychological realism. And it's got crazy child empowerment. There's a child that kind of comes to the surface and is a big player in the story who is written to be too brave, I think, too conveniently knowledgeable, because their love of horror comic books makes them, of course, an expert of vampires and fighting off vampires. This kind of writing has a place, but I think it caters to a child viewer's fantasy of their own sense of empowerment. When I was a child, I liked seeing movies that made child characters empowered because I could engage in the fantasy. That's what I wanted. I liked the idea that grown-ups would not know what was going on and that children would, because we read comic books. I mean, that kind of thing would totally appeal to me as a kid. But I'm 46, and this movie has enough F-bombs in it that it is not for children. This is so I'm like, who is this written for? I don't understand. As far as the cast goes, the performance is really across the board, and it's not a knock on the actor's ability, because I've seen many of these actors in other things where they were giving what I would call more authentic performances. So I think it is ultimately a choice that comes out of the script and a choice in the directing process as well. But the performance style across the board felt, and the delivery of dialogue felt kind of surface level, like grief and fear are either underperformed or they are performed intensely but in a false way. Like screaming while kind of posing and staying facing the camera instead of screaming and running and just immediately, running off somewhere. Oh crap. So that's my reminder to do laundry. Which is now going to be forgotten. But like, there's just bodily reactions when we are surprised by something, when we freak out, when we think we're being threatened by something. We don't go, ah, and scream frozen, staring straight ahead, and that's just one thing. There's just a bunch of little artificialities like that. Or there might be like grief that is portrayed in a way that has intensity to it, but not authenticity. There's no, like, a woman who has for days been certainly without sleep as search parties have been looking for her son. The actress is appropriately kind of like energetic in the moment in her franticness, but I don't see, it doesn't feel real. I don't see tears welling up in her eyes. I don't see evidence that she's been crying before this scene. It just feels like she was having a great day, and then suddenly they said, okay, be scared now. She's like, okay, I'll be scared. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. There just doesn't seem to be the groundedness in emotional portrayal that I would like, and psychology. But again, that comes back to the writing. I don't know how far you could go realistically, psychologically, with the dialogue and the story being what it is. There's just sort of a mild but ever-present touch of hokey throughout that keeps me from caring or being afraid, but not so strong that I feel like it's intentionally playing for laughs. I don't know. It's an interesting vibe. As far as the stunts and visuals go, There's not a lot of stunts, not a lot of visual, like visual effects, CG stuff like that. The lighting, though, many times in the nighttime scenes, is crazy day for night shooting. That's where they shoot something during the day, and then in post production they put a filter on it, like to make things the colors washed out, and then put a blue filter on it. And let's call that nighttime. Where we as an audience can see everything very, very clearly. It just is washed out with a blue filter, washed out with kind of like a gray filter, something like that. But characters talking about, I can't see anything. I'm like, I don't know, I can see everything around you crystal clear, Or another scene where, like, and this is at the beginning as well, brake lights are the explanation for an entire room being flooded with red light. And so it's just kind of like these production choices that strip away a sense of realism in the idea that this is a real place, that real people are inhabiting, that I could realistically go to. If such a place existed, I could imagine going there. It doesn't feel real. The visual effects, like CG and stuff, infrequent and also unimpressive, really kind of has some TV movie vibes to the overall production. So yeah, not impressed there. As far as themes, is there anything of moral, philosophical, spiritual significance going on in the themes of this thing that could trigger some worthwhile thought or conversation? There's very often very natural opportunity to talk about spiritual themes, moral themes in horror. Horror is such a great playground for talking about spiritual ideas, spiritual realities, or at the very least, lessons of good and evil, defining clearly what evil is and how evil is overcome. And this, a lot of gimmicky mechanical uses of religiosity as a weapon against the vampires. I mean, the main priest, that's kind of helping the protagonist for a little while, he says, I might be kind of a washed up priest, I'm not a very good priest, but I do still believe in the awesome power of, and he finishes that sentence by saying the church. And I'm like, oh my gosh, really? The church is going to save the day? And people holding up crosses and then them glowing. And, but I mean, like, whether or not faith is necessary is very inconsistent. Sometimes even played for laughs a bit. The setting, the ideas are not taken seriously. And if anything, it just perpetuates the attitude that spiritual things are not worth taking seriously. So, no intended messaging really that I could find anywhere in this movie. All right, no idea what your tastes are in movies, but if I were a time traveler, I would fix my watch and then I would go back in time and say, Vader, skip this one. It's not scary, it's not funny, it's just there being a movie with characters that talk and a plot that happens, and 2 hours of your day lost. This one's rated R for bloody violence and language, and those are all my thoughts for now on Salem's Lot. As always, we'd love to get your thoughts and reactions in the comments below. Please like, share, subscribe, click that bell to stay connected. Thank you to all the Spirit Blade insiders for making this review possible. You can get info about the benefits of joining over at patreon.com/spiritbladeproductions. Then I hope you'll check out our podcast. Stay connected to all CGC content over at christiangeekcentral.com as we continue to geek out and seek the truth. Hey guys, Peter Franson here. Want to play games to save lives? Then join me again this year for Game Save, our annual charity fundraising event in support of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, whose compassionate care and cutting-edge research has been saving the lives of children all over the world for decades. Joining the Game Save team only requires a willingness to ask friends and family to consider donating toward your fundraising efforts. Team members also usually do something fun and game-related to draw attention to their fundraising, like a special game night at your church or home, or like me, you can do a crazy 24-hour video game marathon. Now, I'm theming my fundraising around video games, but you can also use tabletop games if you want. What you do to raise funds is entirely up to you, but by joining the Game Save team, you can get support and encouragement from myself, from other team members, and have more attention drawn to your fundraising efforts. You can get more info about the origins and heart behind Game Save itself at gamesave.christiangeekcentral.com. To join the team, make an account at tiltify.com and then click on the team invite link below this video and join the Christian Geek Central team. After that, click on Teams, then the CGC Game Save 24 campaign box. Then on the bottom right, click Create Your Campaign. Follow the instructions to create your own personal campaign in support of the CGC team campaign. To help your donors avoid confusion, I recommend using your name and the phrase CGC Game Save 24 as the name of your individual campaign. After that, as team leader beginning in October, I provide team members with weekly tips and resources to help make your fundraising as fun, easy, and effective as possible. October is going to be our main push for fundraising, capping things off with my annual 24-hour video gaming live stream on November 9th. Although you are welcome to have your events and continue fundraising until the end of November 30th, when our official final total will be tallied. If you have any questions before or after signing up, you can reach me anytime at paeter@spiritblade.com. I'm happy to help, and I hope you'll consider being a part of this with me. I can't wait to get started. Thanks. Bye.